Die Flüchtlinge leben in informellen Camps, so circa die Hälfte der Flüchtlinge in informellen Camps, die andere Hälfte wirklich in Häusern, auch in den Städten. Die Lage ist natürlich vor allem im Winter, also wenn es kälter wird, zum Beispiel im Bekartal, wo die meisten Flüchtlinge eben untergebracht sind, dann ist die Lage doch schon relativ fragil. Also es fehlt dann an allem, es fehlt an Heizern, es fehlt an Decken, es fehlt teilweise auch an Nahrungsmitteln, die sozusagen über UNHCR oder das Welternährungsprogramm bereitgestellt werden, die aber ihrerseits natürlich wieder auf internationale Spenden und finanzielle Unterstützung angewiesen sind. Also ich glaube, Frieden, wenn man das mal runterbricht, sozusagen auf innere soziale Harmonie, innerer Friede, inneres Gleichgewicht im Libanon, was man auf jeden Fall machen muss, wo man auch nicht aufhören sollte, ist eben einfach, weil auch die Krise sich verstetigt hat seit 2012. Man muss eben immer wieder mit beiden Seiten sprechen, insbesondere aber mit libanesischen offiziellen Seiten und eben wieder und wieder auf das Problem hinweisen, das wir derzeit haben. Also dass sozusagen die Rahmenbedingungen, die Voraussetzungen für eine Rückkehr der syrischen Flüchtlinge nach Syrien noch nicht gegeben sind. Eine Garantie für die physische Unversehrtheit von rückkehrenden Flüchtlingen kann nicht gegeben werden. Dem gewonnenen militärischen Konflikt, den das Regime gewonnen hat, hat man eben die Sicherheitskräfte, die Sicherheitsdienste in Syrien nach wie vor eben dort. Man schaut sich genau die Identität der Rückkehrer an. Es gibt keine Garantie dafür, dass die Rückkehrer wirklich dann auch zum Beispiel ihren Besitz, wenn man Häuser, noch ein Haus dort hat in Damaskus, dass man das auch wieder erlangt. Das wurde ja mittlerweile dann auch teilweise an andere Bevölkerungsgruppen verteilt. Es gibt Fälle, wo sozusagen Rückkehrer eben zur Polizei vorgeladen werden, dort verschwinden einfach, nie wieder gesehen werden. Es kommt zu Folter, es kommt zu Verhaftungen eben auch. Und die zweite Dimension ist eben, dass eine politische, also alles, was in Richtung einer politischen Transition geht, also sprich, eine Veränderung des vorherrschenden Status quo mit Assad an der Macht, dass sozusagen da nicht erkennbar ist, dass es da irgendwie Fortschritte gibt. Und das ist sozusagen auch aus internationaler Sicht, aus Sicht des UN-Friedensprozesses ist das eben eine maßgebliche Voraussetzung, die derzeit noch nicht vorhanden ist.
I mean, Lebanon has not always been peaceful. Obviously, I would rather say that the recent history of the country has been going through ups and downs a lot, with really large periods of crisis. And if you ask me why today we are experiencing a relative peace. Someone yesterday, big analyst on television was saying the war has not stopped in Lebanon. It's a different kind of war, but we are still at war. I mean, between each other communities, etc. There is an economic war. There are so many different definitions of war. But I mean, let's just make it simple and agree that now we are experiencing a relative period of peace, a relative peace. Let's not forget that a few years back, 2005, starting between 2005 and 2000, I would say 8-9, we had a series of, earthquakes. I mean, political assassinations, one after the other, street fights between Hezbollah and the Hariri guys, and then between Hezbollah and the Druze community. So This is to say that it's not peace as we understand it in developed countries or in Europe or the West in general, no. Ups and downs, yes. Periods of calm, yes. But it's not total war. It's not a general war that is going on in Lebanon. Of course, not like we had during what we called the civil war back then. Definitely. Maybe the question would be what is holding us back from, starting again a new war, knowing that there are all these tensions between communities, between Shia and Sunni mostly, and also political tension because of what's happening in the whole region and the impact that the regional turmoil always has on Lebanon. I think that deep inside each and every Lebanese who has experienced war, sometimes in his flesh, deep inside they don't want to go there. I mean, they might just take risks of, provocation, counter-provocation. They might take risks, but they know that once they are at the edge and once they have reached a no-return point, I don't think they would jump, make that extra move to push forward the country into a very destructive civil war. I'm not sure. I think that deep, unconsciously, at least my generation, who have experienced war, they don't want to go there. We know this hurts a lot. Some people say it's a miracle that we're still managing without really killing each other again. No, but I think a lesson learned. At least partially learned, because to learn the lesson completely, Lebanese needed to go into what we call un travail de mémoire, to go into the memory work, sit together, talk about what happened in the war, try to understand, try to listen to the other's viewpoint, exchange, and let it out of the system, of our collective system, and do your mourning and then move forward. This we didn't do in Lebanon, unfortunately, and I think this should have been done in a very serious way, we've witnessed somewhere around the globe, in the world. You need to, after a bloody conflict, you need to really sit and think about that, about all the demons and what happened, and talk to the other. Because this way we can start building for the future. We can start also having a vision for the future. Until today, you can see it on a daily life. We don't have a vision in Lebanon. We don't have a social vision. We don't have an economic vision. We don't have a political vision. We don't have a strategic vision for the region. Where we are. What is Lebanon's foreign policy? Nobody knows. You have different views about foreign policy. You have different views about economy, but you do not have a common project. A country is like a couple, is like a marriage, within a couple. You need to sit down, you need to have a minimum of values that you're sharing with the other, and you have to work on it on a daily basis. And reminding, your partner every day, don't forget, this is our agreement. This is what we agreed on. Of course, sometimes one or the other would deviate from the mainstream, but the job of each one is to remind the other of this contract. It's the same, especially in a country like Lebanon, where you have so many different communities. You have plenty of communities in Lebanon.
Wenn man sich den Libanon anschaut, in puncto innere Sicherheit, natürlich gibt es noch, die Sicherheitskräfte sind eben noch dabei, Restzellen des Islamischen Staates, anderer extremistischer Gruppierungen, beispielsweise auch das Sicherheitsrisiko durch innerhalb der 12 Palästinenserlager im Land, um das unter Kontrolle zu bekommen, haben da auch wirklich ganz beachtliche Erfolge eben auch zeitigen können. Davon abgesehen haben wir nicht das unmittelbare Risiko zum Beispiel eines neuen Bürgerkrieges. Ich glaube aber, also woraufhin die Frage wahrscheinlich auch abzielte, auf einer anderen Ebene sozusagen. Es gibt Stereotypen, es gibt gewisse Konflikt- und Feindesbilder auch unter den verschiedenen Konfessionen, unter den verschiedenen Bevölkerungsgruppen. Und ich denke mal, da ist Bildung das A und O. Es ist kein Garant sozusagen für um wirklich sozusagen alle Risiko- und Konfliktfaktoren hier auszuräumen. Und natürlich, man muss auch sagen, es ist ein ganz, ganz langfristiger Prozess, der über mehrere Generationen hinweg geht. Man kann zum Beispiel damit anfangen, die aktuell die Generation der 20- bis 30-Jährigen, die sozusagen selbst den libanesischen Bürgerkrieg nicht mehr unmittelbar miterlebt hat, aber dennoch ganz, ganz stark, das zeigen auch verschiedene Studien, ganz erheblich davon geprägt ist. Also sprich, wenn man Teil der christlichen Community ist, dass man dann eben doch ganz stark durch diese damals kultivierten Feindbilder eben auf die Sunniten, auf die Schiiten, auf die Drusen des Landes blickt. Und ich denke mal, da kann man über Bildung in jeglicher Form, aber zum Beispiel auch Begegnungen, persönliche Begegnungen, kann man dann natürlich mit viel Geduld auf jeden Fall vorbauen. Ne?
There you go. You'll have to take all the shots. One thing you have to learn is how many spoons of coffee to put. Well, take 6.
How many?
6. 6 for this big one. It depends on the size. You wouldn't show at all.
No.
It's sweet, but it kills the taste of the coffee.
We're going to make it cut when you're sitting.
We can bring that if you. I lived my teenage life here, of course, and I always knew what the community atmosphere is like. Very close communities. You have a lot of friends. It's a good education system in Lebanon. And I always felt that it'd be a nice place to raise the family. From the rat race, if you like, of the Australian or European or American lifestyle of going to work and coming home and maybe sit in the sun on a weekend or go to a football game. It's not a place at the time I thought was to bring up a family with our heritage and the values that we have. I just thought it was a different value system. the family unit. We're used to it being tight, close together. Everybody knows everyone. Everyone cares about everyone else. And it's just nice to be in amongst the community. And that's one of the main reasons why I came back. Put my kids through school here while they were young and decided to come back and live here, and we'll try to make ends meet. So it's not a financial decision, because Lebanon is the last place on earth you'd go to for financial reasons. I mean, in Australia, I was a computer programmer for one of Australia's biggest banks, and I had a good job and a good house and a swimming pool and a yacht and 2 cars, and I was quite happy in making money. So it's not the money that mattered to me at the time, more so bringing up the kids in an environment that we thought is in line with our value system as a people. So that's one of the reasons, or the main reason why I came back. Yeah.
And when you came back, what have you found here in Lebanon? What was the situation in these days?
Well, I came back in '93. It was just fresh out of war. But Lebanon surprised me, but I decided to stick it out. It started to lose a lot of the values that we were brought up on as a society, Lebanese society. It's a dog-eat-dog society, just like everywhere else now. But in a lot of the country regions, in a lot of the villages, and a lot of the cities, you still find people who care for people, and you make good friends, and your friends are, they're people you can call friends and you can actually eat, drink, and be happy with. And it's just quite a nice lifestyle. Lebanese love life. So they like to live, they love going out, they love the restaurants, they love the dancing, they love the drinking, and they're a happy lot, A lot of them don't have much, but they're happier, if you like.
And what was the miracle that this war ended in the 90s?
This war ended in 89, 90, yes. That's when they had their Taif agreement and their treaty in Saudi Arabia, and they all agreed to form a government and stop the war. And Lebanon is still trying to pick up the pieces from the war with the infrastructure works, and even to this day we still have electricity cutouts. Most of the areas in Lebanon still have no clean drinking water. Or the water comes for 2 hours of the day, and 22 hours you don't have any water. So people have learned to make ends meet. They survive. Lebanese are survivors, So a hardship to them is nothing. It's something to deal with and just move on,
The hermit lived in silence. One day came a monk from Rome, told me, Father Dario, I could speak you in English, in French, in Italy, in Arabic. Which language do you prefer? In silent, please.
Yeah,
okay, Habibi.
Good answer.
All right.
Okay, Habibi,
nice
bye.
day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
And you have so many cultures and religions here. How does it work?
Well, you have 18 different religions to be exact. Lebanon is known for a place where all these religions coexist quite nicely. And it's not a problem. For me, I went through a stage where I used to think that, you know, unless you thought like me, you're my enemy, virtually. And a lot of people in Lebanon still think the same way. So if you're a Maronite Christian, you virtually hate everybody else. And if you're a Muslim, Shiite Muslim, you hate the Sunnis and the Christians. And if you're a Sunni, you hate everyone else. And so on and so on and so on. I've learned through experiences with different people from different religions that, you know, friends can be across religions. So religion is not a restrictor to friendship, nor is it a restrictor to openness and being good with everyone. So pretty much I've learnt that, you know, one should find peace within and make peace with everyone else. But to do that, it takes a bit of heartache. It takes a lot of disappointment, but then you learn. In the end, it's how you feel. If you feel good about it, then it must be good. If you don't feel too good about it, then it must be bad. It's your decision. But they coexist. All these religions have coexisted for a long time. I mean, they have feuds, and the feuds are fueled by external forces like various countries that support different religions and different factions. And that's where you get the word extremists. I mean, where you have extreme thinking is where you're bound to have problems. And unfortunately, extreme thinking exists not only in politics, but also in religions. And that's why you will always, the Middle East region, I mean, look at it. It's a never-ending war zone.
Well, there was peace before the war, but after the war, the whole country changed. Once there is a war in the country, I mean, take Germany. Have you got peace in Germany?
No. Yet.
Unfortunately, once the war hit, the country destroys the peace and all that stuff, and people, they start looking at each other differently. When the hippies were here, they wanted peace. And they thought, boy, you know, like living their hair long and wearing big, colourful clothes and smoking weed and singing music, playing music and dancing and all that, that was peace to them.
And what is peace to you?
Peace is a peace of mind. Regardless of what the world's like, it doesn't bother me. The whole world is collapsing around us, but I'm at peace.
How have you found the peace?
Yeah,
How? What is your secret to find peace?
Peace, just wherever you relax and you're comfortable, you've got no problems, and no one's attacking you, you don't owe money to people, you don't rob people, that's peace.
Good point.
Wenn wir uns den Libanon ansehen, man hat ja eine delikate Balance eingeführt und das eben auch als Resultat der Erfahrung des Bürgerkriegs. Es gibt natürlich die Religion, die hier natürlich auch eine starke Stellung haben. Es gibt aber auch natürlich einen großen Teil der Bevölkerung, der sich eher für ein säkulares Staatsmodell ausspricht, der eigentlich eher die Gefahr sieht, dass Religion instrumentalisiert, also eher konfliktfördernd ist sozusagen. Konflikt ist ja nicht nur alleine auf Religion zurückzuführen oder sektiererische Argumente. Es ist natürlich ganz stark, gerade hier im Libanon, es gibt die politische Ebene, es gibt die innenpolitische Auseinandersetzung zwischen verschiedenen Strömungen. Und ich glaube, die Religion kann da natürlich eine konstruktive Rolle spielen, aber Religion alleine kann sozusagen jetzt nicht hier die Realitäten verändern. In anderen Ländern mag Religion dann vielleicht sogar eine größere Rolle spielen, zum Beispiel im Irak. Irak wäre ein Beispiel, wo eben religiöse Autoritäten wirklich auch interveniert haben in den politischen Prozess und dort wirklich auch mitgestaltet haben. Ich glaube, davon sind wir im Libanon weit entfernt. Auf jeden Fall, es lässt sich natürlich nicht leugnen, dass die religiöse Karte, wie wir das nennen sozusagen, schnell aktiviert werden kann und dass religiöse Autoritäten hier auch sehr stark in politische Debatten mit eingreifen.
To be honest, I now think I could be 100% wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I think misinterpretation, people's misinterpretation of what they call the holy books. You know, they don't just settle for the idea that the holy books, no matter what religion, for the goodness of people or humanity, and for the proper and moral teaching and thinking. Unfortunately, people in the clergy and people in positions of power and stupidity and ignorance plays a part, where people interpret a lot of these books literally to whatever it is, and you have this mob hysteria then, where one group of people thinks everybody else is the devil and they can't go to the grave unless they eliminate them, and retaliations, and it never ends. So in the end, it doesn't matter where you are on earth, you have to live with these radicals, and you see them every day. You can't change them. Doesn't matter how much you try. I mean, you can talk sense all you like, but I'm a strong believer now that you can't change people. Some people will listen, some people will agree with you, and in the end they'll do what they think is right or what their mob mentality thinks is the right thing to do. And it's a constant battle between good and evil. So the fighting that goes on between the big guns, big countries, whether it's Europe, America, China, Russia, or whoever, Lebanon, Syria, Iran. It's just power play, economics, whether it's the petrol dollar or whatever it is. And it's religion. It's just religious beliefs. And then you've got the political systems as well, where some people are pushing to enforce democracy all over the world, and some people want socialism all over the world, and you have different political systems from different philosophers across history. And it all makes no difference. If you have corruption and you have bad people, it doesn't matter what religion they are. They're still going to behave bad. I just now tend to think that religion is true, that religion makes perfectly clever and sane people do unclever and insane things. It's the people's misinterpretation over time. So you've got this history.
God really, or religion?
If we're talking about God, it's something totally different, because none of these people, or most of these people, don't know what the hell God is on about. All they know is about their own standing, their own power play, their own ability to control masses, their own ability to control wealth. So it's a constant struggle in everyday life. It just makes normal people feel as though they need to be part of the game in this jungle to survive.
How can religion help to find peace?
Well, inherently, all religions, I now believe that it's not strict to one religion to say that, you know, we're the best and God is on our side. Because look what happens around the world. Everybody thinks that God is on their side. It's funny, you know. Even during the Lebanese war, the different fighting factions, if you hear what they say, they all claim to have God on their side. So it's either God is fighting himself through all of these people, or it's the wrong God they're talking about. If it's the right God, it has to be peaceful means when you give people their rights. Well, they don't revolt, do they? I mean, why do you have revolutions? It doesn't matter where on earth, right throughout history, you've had revolutions because a group of people have thought at some point that their rights, or they're not getting a share of the cake, if you like, or their rights or they've been oppressed, or so you have revolutions. Otherwise, why would you have a revolution? Why do people revolt?
Wie aussichtsreich ist es denn, dass der Westen versucht, den Nahen Osten zu demokratisieren? Das ist, denke ich mal, da haben alle Staaten der Westen, wenn man das so pauschalisieren kann, hat natürlich immer im Hinterkopf die Erfahrung der Intervention der Amerikaner im Irak. Ich glaube, wenn man sozusagen jegliche Intervention unter der Zielsetzung einer Demokratisierung wird langfristig hier fehlschlagen. Wir müssen auch mal schauen in die Länder der Region. Wir sind hier im Libanon zum Beispiel, wo wir eine parlamentarische Demokratie eben auch haben. Die mag hier und da Schwächen haben. Beispielsweise sind die staatlichen Institutionen schwach ausgeprägt, können sich auf keine breite Legitimität oder Akzeptanz in der Bevölkerung auch stützen. Aber es gibt diese Strukturen. Es gibt politische Parteien, es gibt ein Parlament, es gibt einen Präsidenten, es gibt einen Premierminister, einen Sprecher des Parlaments. Das heißt, letzten Endes jeder Ansatz, der eben das Thema Demokratisierung sozusagen ins Auge fasst, schlägt eigentlich schon fehl, weil wir hier diese Strukturen bereits haben. Man kann, glaube ich, viel mehr sagen, dass man den Gesamtprozess, politischen Prozess, Demokratie, die libanesischen Institutionen stärken, dass man das sehr wohl unterstützen kann. Da muss man allerdings auch vielleicht Abstand nehmen von den bisherigen westlichen Konzepten. Man muss schauen, wie ist die Situation am Boden, was genau ist der Bedarf. Wir hatten heute zum Beispiel über die schwach ausgeprägte strukturelle Schwäche des libanesischen Parlaments zum Beispiel gesprochen, dass jedes einzelnen Abgeordneten, der sozusagen die von ihm erwartete Arbeitsleistung eigentlich auch, beziehungsweise Kompetenz in diesen hochkomplexen Themenfeldern überhaupt nicht erbringen kann. Sprich, diese Überlegung, dass man vielleicht nach westlichem Vorbild eben das Parlament als Institution stärkt, beispielsweise durch die Einführung und auch finanzielle Unterstützung eines wissenschaftlichen Dienstes, wie wir das im Deutschen Bundestag beispielsweise haben. Also sprich durch die Sicherstellung von Kompetenz, fachlicher Kompetenz, die aber die sich neutral verhält und die sozusagen nicht Teil einer politischen Gruppierung ist. Das zum Beispiel wäre ein Ansatz. Das würde ich mal fassen unter den Aspekt des Kapazitäten-Auf- und Ausbaus, ja, Capacity Building für das libanesische Parlament. Das wäre zum Beispiel eine Sache. Ein zweiter Aspekt, der mit Sicherheit auch noch eine der wenigen Optionen eröffnet, ist die institutionelle Unterstützung der libanesischen Armee, einer Institution, die von einer Mehrheit der Bevölkerung wirklich auch unterstützt wird, anerkannt ist. Also in diesen Feldern gibt es verschiedene Möglichkeiten der Intervention.
What is democracy? Democracy is where you have equal rights, equal opportunities, and the government body protects your rights and protects your freedoms. I mean, that's democracy. But you cannot apply that across the mentalities of the extreme people of the book. It doesn't matter who they are, Jewish, Christian, Muslims, or Buddhists, or Druze, or whoever. You know, extreme people of the book who have misinterpreted the book all of these for thousands of years, they don't even understand, they don't even care about democracy. A lot of people, there are people around the world. I personally think that the best political system, it's been said before, is a benevolent dictatorship. So if you have a good dictator, you're likely to have the best political system there is. Someone who makes the decisions, someone who is fair, right? And then everybody else just lives their life the way they should. But unfortunately, how often do you get good dictatorships?
As a journalist, you probably know that a journalist's role is not to build peace, is not to push towards peace, is not to... I mean, a journalist is a journalist, is to bring information and to report the information in the most credible way, in the most serious way, in the most ethical way. And, you know, to shed the light on what's happening. By shedding the light, meaning, you know, bringing a comment or an added value or an analysis to what's happening. So a lot of people would argue with you, tell you, no, it's not your job to do peace. It's, you know, peacemakers who do peace. It's diplomats. It's people behind the scenes, NGOs, politicians. So I am not sure that it is up to us to journalism that pushes towards peace. What we could do, though, we could prevent ourselves from, there is a say in Arabic, I think it's the same also everywhere, when you put oil on the fire, you can prevent exacerbating a situation. You need to be aware of the impact that each and every word you are using and either broadcasting or writing, you have to be aware of the heaviness of the words and their impact. And this leads me to talk about the responsibility of a journalist. A lot of time, journalists do not realize how much responsibilities they have. Because, they are conveying a message, they are conveying an opinion that will have an impact, either positive or negative, on thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, depending, of course, on how diffuse will your message be. Report on it in a very objective way. Do your job. By doing your job, it's already a contribution to peace. Doing your job meaning really, checking your information, having all opinions, being considered, taken into consideration, and maybe not being consciously or unconsciously, not being motivated by the success that your story will have, as much as by the profoundness of the message you are sending. And having in the back of your mind, really yes, I want to be part of bringing a solution to peace. It's not my job. But if you have this in the back of your mind, as a, song or, as a tune, for your story, you will know that you will be more careful, doing your job more seriously, checking your information, using the right words. You will definitely be more careful. There are sometimes really beautiful stories that can help also, improving the general mood and maybe pushing people to think more about peace than about war, to understand that the benefits of peace are far more than the benefits of war. Maybe in that sense, we can conduct our stories.
It's where you belong. You probably feel it's the best place on earth. So if you ask an Iraqi, he'll probably think that Iraq is the best place on earth, Libyan would do the same, and even a Syrian now would do the same. But regardless of all of this, I got it. Thanks. Regardless of all of this, we always thought, and I don't joke when I say this now, when God created the heavens and earth, we believe that one day he decided to actually create a heaven on earth. And he looked around and he thought, well, you know what? I think Lebanon is the place. It's such a lovely place. Good mountains, good valleys, clean air, good beaches, close proximity. Everything's just so nice, a lot of greenery and a lot of water and all that sort of stuff. So he created Lebanon as his heaven on earth. So we believe. And then unfortunately, we also believe that to spite God, the devil decided to live in Lebanon. So now we have this heaven on earth with the devil living in it. The devil's found in politics. He's found in churches and mosques and synagogues or wherever. And he's found in normal society with everyday dealing. That's why I'm a true believer now that once you see that heaven on earth, heaven and hell are your everyday life, it's a constant battle between good and evil. It just makes you more determined to be good, to triumph over evil. It's going to take a long time because evil is associated, as we all know, with greed, with money, with power, Everybody wants to be in a position of power. Everybody wants to be a millionaire. And everybody is greedy because a lot of them have got positions of power and they're millionaires, and yet they want more. And you think that, well, somewhere along the line, but are they happy? Some are, and some aren't. But those who are happy, seemingly happy, I'm certain they wouldn't be. But on face value, well, they have more money to spend. They can buy the yacht they want. They can buy the house they want. They can buy the car they want. They can choose to wreck your life or anybody else's life for that matter. They don't care. But their conscience somewhere along the line is going to beat them. That last week before their deathbed is going to come just like it's going to come for everybody else. No, we'll see what happens when you live in a community atmosphere. In the end, you have good relations with a lot of good people, and after a while, you build some sort of a respect in the community that you live in. It's just like every other community around the world. You have supposed respectful people, and why would they respect these people? It's because. Not just because of the position they're in, but because of the person they are. So if you're a good, fair person who gets involved in conflict solving of whatever conflict there may be, whether it be a husband and wife or two families fighting or whatever, you always have to be fair. You can't take one side against the other, and then you lose respect, don't you? I mean, if you get involved between two brothers fighting to try and solve their problems, if you take one side, well, obviously you made an enemy of the other one. So you don't do that. So people have learnt how to deal. So you get some good, respectful people who get that much respect that they can actually not force, but suggest a solution to the conflict, and the other people, out of respect, will accept because they know it's fair. So that's the system, but that's changing as well. It's only changing. I don't know if the social media and the openness to the world has anything to do with it, but all the young people, like every country's young people, they don't listen to anyone. They're disrespectful to their elders. So when you've got these type of things, and these are happening, you can see them, but they're controlled in one way or another by the parents because they're more aware that they should be talking to their child or putting pressure on their child to actually change his attitude or whatever, because it's not the way we live. You get all sorts. But it happens, the conflict solving in a community comes through respectful people. Not all the time through the politicians, and not all the time through the religious clergy. Most of the time it gets solved through just normal, respectful people in town who are fair about whatever logic that they might suggest to solve the issue. Yeah.
I don't think we have to approach peace as a general phenomenon. I mean, as a state, like peace and war, war and peace. I mean, it's not black and white. I think you can create spaces of peace. You can create models of peace. You can spread the culture of peace. I think we can spread more and more the culture of peace, yes. you can spread it more and more. But I think at the same time there will always be interests, greedy people, state interests, crazy politicians around the world, crazy leaders. I mean, it's always been like this throughout the history, and it will always be, because it seems that politics, unfortunately, attracts not necessarily people who have ethics and values, but people who have usually a huge ego, and people who have a lot of emptiness that they need to fill with the feeling that they are in power and they control things. And for that, they need power, they need the prestige behind the power, and they need the money also behind the power. We see this sometimes in big businesses around the world. We would like to see more competent people in the sense that, in politics, in the sense that people who have the expertise but also have the values. Because we tend to forget that politics is also a mission. I mean, it's not only, again, a job where you just come and get all the benefits from it and you don't give anything back. I mean, there are rules, there is ethic. Politics used to be much more based on ideological views, on ideologies in general, and therefore on values. Unfortunately, we are getting away more and more from values. The world is becoming so much geared by money and interests, but this will lead to lessening the humanity that is in us. And once we lose the humanity that is in us, we lose our souls, and we lose everything, and we lose even, the joy of living. I mean, I'm getting maybe to a philosophical place, but peace would never prevail as such. But we can contribute to creating spaces of peace and maybe enlarging the community of people who work towards peace than people who works towards fights and interests and conflicts and.
If you do good deeds and you're happy and content and you're at peace with yourself, well, at least you can go to bed and have a good night's sleep and wake up in the morning quite happy and satisfied. You can see goodness in a lot of people. One thing I learned to do over these years is that shouldn't judge anyone. You got to learn to accept people for what they are. I mean, a lot of people, not everybody can be the same as everybody else. So you can't think that I will coexist with this person or be friends with this person if he thinks exactly like me. Well, that's not right. You have to learn to accept people for what they are, and understand that a lot of it is influenced by their upbringing, by their environment, by their books, by their history, by their ancestors, for whatever reason. But there's still a lot of people with a lot of good love and care, not necessarily charitable institutions, I'm not talking about that, or religious institutions, because I don't see a lot of love in that area. I see a lot of goodness. I mean, love is goodness. And there's a lot of goodness in people's hearts. And if it wasn't there, well, why would I want to be here? Why would I want to be anywhere else? Why would anyone want to be where they are if they didn't think that there was any good around them? But you have to learn to take the good with the bad and deal with the bad in a way that it doesn't have too much effect on you or your family or the people you care about. And try to change as much, but I don't like this preaching idea too much. I just think that people know what's good and what's bad, and it's up to each person to make a choice of how to behave. And if they behave good, well, that's good for them. And if they behave in a bad way, well, that's their bad luck. I'm not going to worry about them. I can't.
when you belong to a community and you know more people, you have more connections. I think this helps the Middle Easterner be more happy. Even you have a very large poor society in the Middle East that I personally view them, being a psychologist, as being more content and having a lot less levels of depression than the Western world is experiencing right now. And moreover, like the Western world, the jobs that they have are working inside of a cubicle or a desk or sitting down for 8 hours, basically. And the human body wasn't made for that, and the human mind wasn't made for that. And it's really, it's imprisonment, really, and it's in slavery. Like even you're working for something that's not yours. You're working for a boss. You're working for a company which you're devoting yourself for something that's just work. It's not a product that you're making. It's not something that's going to stay with you. It's just your time you're giving to someone, basically. I think finding peace is an internal thing. It's not so much about the area that you're in. I think I found peace when I got my perspective straight and my objectives straight in life about what matters and what doesn't matter. When I had direction and I had a purpose, even if it was a financial purpose, a work purpose, it's still a purpose. So really you need purpose and you need to be content. You need to be happy with what you have and appreciate what you have, not look at the glass half empty. Just look at it as half full and keep a positive attitude throughout everything. And it'll eventually, all the positive vibes you give will come back and get to you. And if you're being a negative person, eventually everything will come back and also bite you in a negative way.
What is your opinion?
In what they call the old countries, the family value still have more value than in the West. You still can enjoy sitting down with friends and have a coffee and chit chat about any subject. In the West, you just gotta go work, eat, sleep, and go back to work. Work, eat, sleep, and go back to work. And we're not used to this kind of life. We the kind that like the family value, and that's why we have it in this place.
How important is belonging together as a community for having peace?
When you know the people around you, you'll have more trust in them, and they trust you more. And the beginning and the end of peace is a matter of trust. If you don't trust your neighbor, you're not going to have peace with him. If you trust your neighbor, you can leave your door open, your car open, and go to sleep. So it's a matter of trust.
Cedars has been mentioned in the Bibles many times, and it's also because it is important, it was mentioned also in our Bible. So, and about your question about the importance of trees, it has many importance, I think. ecological importance. It gives oxygen, it takes the CO2, maintain the soil less. We have less erosion. The trees can give food to nature, to people, even not forest. We have agricultural use from the trees. It is also a habitat for insects, flora, birds, animals. It brings shade so people can get shade from it. So it has many meanings, even ecological and human, for human health and well-being also.
Have you both found your peace here, working in the forest?
Yeah, I found it a long time ago.
How comes?
I know, because I started to work in this place. So year by year, this feeling is going.
It's growing like a tree.
Yeah, yeah, it's growing like a tree. And after it will grow, they will give the seeds, and the seeds will be all over the local community and Lebanon also. We will start with an awareness campaign with local communities, schools, NGOs. They like to contribute in these special events. And also we have a program like Adopt a Cedar Tree. So some people come and plant on their name, or they can give it like a gift to a special person. They get a small signs with a certificate that they planted a cedar tree in Hirsh Nature Reserve. And this is very emotional, because when people come and they started to plant, and when they have their signs, they started to, some of them cry, because they feel like they're doing something very important. They are planting and they're helping
and are connected to the ground.
Yeah, and they are connected. Yeah. And some of them, most of them, come year after year to see where where their trees are, and how they come, how they became, and so so the link between the plantation and the cedars and even other species of trees and the nature and the human, it's increasing enormously in Lebanon. And we, as you mentioned, 1 million tree in Lebanon. We have a national program with the Ministry of Agriculture to plant 40 million trees. So all of us are working in the same vision or objective. We're helping our country to achieve this number.
So isn't this a seed for peace in your community?
Yeah. That's
what I mean.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you believe there's a chance for peace in the world?
I doubt it. I doubt it very much. Maybe a few hundred years ago there was better chance than now, and as we go forward, the chance of peace goes towards zero, because human beings now are more toward making money and more aggressive toward fighting each other to make that money. And the more you fight each other, the less peace you're gonna have, and you go in a circle where there's no end to it, no beginning and no end. So I doubt that we can ever, in our lifetime or the next generation, gonna see peace the way we understand peace.
What about the next generation? Do you believe in peace?
I think your question is very broad. I think your question is more on an individual basis than a cultural or large basis. Like, what is peace? You have to go into the individual person and see how happy they are. More to your point, I believe in what my father said, that the world is declining in these aspects, especially the older generation. But with the younger generation, what I've personally noticed, I've met people from every different country and from all the different age groups. So the younger generation is really enlightened, and they're really upset about how the workings of the world are, how the rich few have control of the many poor, and how, like, they're not communists, the people I meet, but they definitely don't believe and this severe inequality that's happening. And actually, most of the younger generation that I meet and I talk to, they're ready to revolt. They're ready to change this. And if there is a movement, I know that for a fact that they would be ready to go for it. And really, the younger generation in Lebanon, also, all of it, they feel this way about the topics, and most of them are enlightened about these things.
Do you believe in this generation?
Feeling something is way different than doing something. He's right about all his feeling and the new generation feeling, but what is the new generation doing about it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now or next year or 20 years from now. The doing is the important more than the feeling. And the feeling by itself doesn't take you nowhere.
He is right, you know. So it's time for people to make a change.
It's how people decide they want to live, you know. You can live your life in a heavenly manner, and you can live your life in a hellish manner, and you can make the life of the people around you hell or heaven. It depends on how you act and how you behave. In the end, you're the one who's going to suffer the consequences. In the end, we're all going to die. Conscience is a bad thing, you know. Not a bad thing in a sense, but it's something that will actually make you accountable for everything that you do.
Ein halbes Leben suche ich schon den Schlüssel. Mein halbes Leben suche ich nach dem Schalter. Mein halbes Leben suche ich nach dem Passwort. Denn ich will raus hier, es muss doch eines geben. Vielleicht ist diese verrückte Welt einfach sowas wie ein Test. Ein Geduldsspiel, wer von uns am längsten durchhält. Und wer das alles mit sich machen lässt. Ey, das kann's doch nicht gewesen sein. Da kommt doch gleich die Lösung rein. Es macht Klick und alle Menschen sind auf einmal voller Liebe. Einfach schnipp und der Albtraum ist vorbei. Vorbei, nur ein Tick und auf dem ganzen Planeten herrscht plötzlich Frieden und das alles passiert in ein paar Sekundenbruchteilen. Wahrscheinlich ist es doch nicht wahr. Wahrscheinlich bin ich nur ein unverbesserlicher Träumer. Aber Hoffnung ist noch immer tonnenweise da. Und eines Tages ist sie vielleicht, nein ganz sicher, der Abräumer. Es macht Klick und alle Menschen sind auf einmal voller Liebe. Einfach schnipp und der Albtraum ist vorbei. Vorbei, nur ein Tick und auf dem ganzen Planeten herrscht plötzlich Frieden und das alles passiert in ein paar Sekundenbruchteilen.